Hey Memorial family, this is a special message from your grubby looking pastor. Yeah, you usually don't see me like this, I guess. But we were working up by the manse today. Actually, I never even made it up there, but Titus and Sam were working up there, and me and some others were down in the sanctuary basement today. So anyways, that's why I'm dressed like this. I'm a regular guy too. I wear grubby clothes sometimes, if you all didn't figure that out by now yet. Well, anyways, all that aside, wanted to give you a special message about something that can start to be missed in our worship of God when we don't meet together. A lot of times we can start to miss some of the things that we do in a worship service together when we don't actually do it. One of those things is giving. So in our giving, the Lord wants us to be giving of our resources to Him, even when we aren't gathering for worship. If something is hindering us, that's still part of how we worship Him. And the foundational place that we give to first is to the ministry of the local church that we're a part of. Of course, the Lord could lead us to give to somebody who's in need, to give to a parachurch organization like Samaritan's Purse, places like that, which right now, giving to places like that would be a great idea. But the basis should always be our local church first, and the ministry that we're sharing in as a church family. So I wanted to read a couple of passages for you. One of them is Luke 21. And this can kind of hit right where we're at right now in terms of maybe being poorer than normal, not having as much in the midst of this pandemic. So in Luke 21 it says, Jesus looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts into the offering box, and he saw a poor widow put in 2 small copper coins. And he said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them, for they all contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty put in all she had to live on." So here's a woman who is very poor, but who gives almost all that she has, if not all that she has, to the Lord, just trusting Him, loving the Lord. I mean, you don't give everything you have to the Lord unless you really love Him. Not that the Lord is calling us all to do that. He might be calling you to do that. I'm not going to argue that if you feel like He is. But the idea of giving out of our poverty, giving abundantly out of what we have. So the Lord might be calling us to do that as we're experiencing some tightness maybe in our pocketbook through this virus time. The other one is in 1 Corinthians, and it just talks about, 2 Corinthians chapter 9. And Paul was just talking to the Corinthian church about collecting some things for the saints in Jerusalem, so to help some of the poor that are in another church. So it's clear that there was a weekly taking up of offering because he was talking to them about, hey, put this gift to the churches in Jerusalem, take that up with your normal weekly offering. But then here's what he says about the heart that we should have in giving. He says, the point is this: whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows abundantly will also reap bountifully. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And now listen to this part. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that, having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. As it is written, He has distributed freely, He has given to the poor, His righteousness endures forever. So there's this picture here of a heart of a cheerful giver and trusting that God is going to supply all needs. And even just his grace, just like he says in another part of 2 Corinthians, that he was talking to Paul and his thorn and his thorn in the flesh. He says, my grace is sufficient for you. And that's kind of what this is saying here. He's able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work, including how we give. So there's a sense of contentment in the Lord and trusting him to provide, and his grace being sufficient, that we're able to give more freely and more cheerfully and more generously. So don't lose sight of giving to the Lord during this time when you're not worshiping. And even if you're watching this right now and you're not a part of our church family, Memorial Presbyterian Church, I want to encourage you to really make sure that you're seeking the Lord about how much you can be giving to your church family in this time, because the ministry of the church goes on. I mean, we're still talking about having our food pantry open and trying to, possibly do a kind of a pickup, a drive curbside pickup. These are ideas we're floating out there. We still have different ministries that we're trying to support. We have a staff that we're supporting. All those different things and more. We give to missionaries. So these different things we really need to keep in mind. So may the Lord well up in us a cheerfulness of giving that comes from him. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may he give you his peace. Good to see you all.